Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year to all of you. Welcome back to our Conversation Cafe with myself. My name is Bianca and I am with the delightful Marion, who is our top ESOL teacher. All of us are CELTA qualified, which means that we've gone through a level of training to make sure that the quality of English that you learn at Everyday English is right at the top.
Yes, whatever your level.
Yeah, absolutely. But one of our favourite things to do, well, my favourite thing to do, maybe not Marion's, is a conversation cafe. Because at the conversation cafe, there are no rules, there are no right and wrong. We do not need to mark your work. We just get together and practice English, which is really lovely.
Yeah, and really useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Learning has lots of different methods, and the best way to learn is to use as many of them as you can. And conversation cafes are a great way to practice, a great way to build your confidence, and a great way to generally learn about things as well as language.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we last saw you, we were Tier 3 in Northampton, and we were about to go into Tier 4, and now the whole country is in lockdown. So big changes.
Yes, and in fact, those significant changes have happened in the 2 weeks, 3 weeks since we last saw each other, haven't they? And it's been a time of real upheaval and real change for everybody in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe people are thinking, New Year, no COVID, New Year, big change. But the reality is that 2021 will look very similar to 2020 here in the UK. But there is hope. And the hope is we have today the third vaccine that has been agreed. So we have 3 vaccines now that we are able to get. And this is great news. But I wanted to remind people not to be complacent. That's a great word. So if you're doing your IELTS, complacent. What does that mean? Have a Google, check it out. Let us know if you know the answer. So it's around the fact that the vaccine is very important, and it certainly is a key component of what's going to make the world a better place. But we don't know lots of things about the vaccine, such as, will it prevent COVID being transmitted? And actually, it looks like it doesn't. So whilst it will prevent you from getting really poorly, it won't prevent you from spreading it. So it does mean that the face masks, the washing our hands, keeping really far away from each other is going to be here for a little while longer.
Yes, and it also means that the more people that are vaccinated, the more progress we will get. Having the vaccination means that you won't get ill. Yes, there is this the situation where perhaps we will still be able to transmit it, but if everybody's vaccinated, then that improves that situation. So
especially for the NHS. So we know that one of the problems, for example, in London, hospitals have already cancelled some really quite important operations and treatments for cancer patients. So we know that one of the important parts of this vaccine isn't about me or Marion. We are fairly young. We are most likely to survive it. But I will be taking the vaccine because I don't want my mum to end up in hospital. So it's about what we can do for other people and not for ourselves. And maybe that's the kind of theme for 2021. Do you mean other people? Not ourselves.
Yes, and I think where there is a lot of social media coverage, unfortunately, telling us things about the vaccine that we really need to think about before we believe. So there are people who believe the vaccine is bad for us. There are people who will say quite a lot of things about this vaccine that might make you feel scared of it. And I think we have to have a big picture here. The big picture is that we need to get rid of coronavirus, or at least get rid of the ability for it to cause the death and economic issues that it has caused. And that's the important thing about this vaccine.
Yeah, there's lots of misinformation, and quite rightly, there are people in communities such as the Black community, ethnic minority communities, who may be feeling a little bit concerned. And that's because historically, white people have tested drugs on those communities. So absolutely, I know why people are feeling concerned. There are a small percentage of people who don't believe that COVID is a problem anyway. However, the science, so not the opinions, the science tells us that COVID is a problem. The science tells us that the vaccine isn't going to eradicate it like polio or other illnesses. So maybe vaccine isn't quite the correct word for this injection that we'll be getting. But we don't have another word in the English language to explain what this is. So the vaccine won't stop you from getting COVID. What it will do is stop you from being so poorly. If it stops you from being so poorly, then it means that you can get better treatment, because there will be more space in our hospitals. Our doctors and nurses will be rested, not under this intense pressure that they're on at the moment, and they will be able to look after you better. And those things, for me, it's no question. I'm going to have the vaccine. But the other thing that I'm going to do, Marion, I don't know about you, is I'm going to remain a little bit bored in my home.
Yes, I'm the same. I think that when we say there's going to be a 6-week lockdown, for me personally, first of all,
sorry, I was a little bit paired. It's really annoying me. Now you're looking at your computer and you're like, this is getting on my nerve. Well, it's much better. Thank you very much.
Well, I think that perhaps for me personally, and I think I might advise people to do this, I think 6 weeks is probably an optimistic idea for what the government is saying they can do with the vaccine in themselves.
Well, the lockdown is until the 31st of March. That's the legislation. Yes. So the lockdown is happening until the 31st of March. It's not ending earlier.
Oh, I see. So that I've only heard that it's for 6 weeks. So obviously I've missed a news broadcast.
No. So the schools are closed until half term. That's your 6 weeks. The legislation that went through government was until the 31st of March. Yeah. Even after lockdown, we will go back into the tier system. And most likely, the majority of the country will go into tier 4 or 3, which again tells us to be a little bored at home. You must stay at home. When 1,300 people die, which we're going to be nearly 100,000 people by the end of the month, it's time to stay at home. So if you're bored, then we're more than happy to find some English to help you out. Yeah, if you want to practice your English, we've got loads of things that we can help you with. If you're feeling lonely or scared, please reach out to us. You don't have to be on your own. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to be launching a European social funded project to help people reconnect with their communities, get employability ready, or go back into education. So if that's something that you're interested in, please let us know. So we'll be doing those classes in the near future. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll be starting those. If you need a laptop to do that, let us know, because we've got laptops that we can lend you for the duration of the course.
Yes, we've had involvement with the ESF for a while now, and they are in it. What we can do because of them, or because of this thing, and because of what they promote is incredible. It is certainly something to get involved in. Whatever your needs, you might not think that they can be addressed, but come and talk to us, whatever you need, because we have been very lucky, and we're very happy to be involved in this project.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. Obviously, we would like to see you all in the real world, but at the moment, it is all online. And it's online to keep you safe, to keep us safe, so that hopefully, this time next year, we will be able to meet up. But I'm going to be honest with people, I don't think it will be until this time next year. I think that come the winter again, because we don't know how long the vaccines last for, we will be seeing another program of vaccines and therefore another mini lockdown. So it's going to be a tough year for everybody, but we started this conversation by saying, what is the theme? And the theme is other people. So when we reach out to other people, we can improve our mental health. Just having a conversation out of your work day with somebody outside of your household is really important. It lifts your mood. It can change things, can't it, Marion?
Yes, that's very true. I know I was talking to my son this morning, and he's 19, and he's been born into an age where people regularly talk, communicate, exchange ideas, and have involvement with each other online. And he was saying that it was a very interesting chat. He was saying that he thinks it is harder if you're older, then you're not in that generation. It's harder to think of online or non-physical contact with people to be contact. But we should see it that way, and we have to learn to see it that way and get all those really good influences on our mental well-being from that contact. It is contact. It is important. It's not the same, but it can be.
Yeah, and remember, you can still go out for a walk with somebody outside of your household, but only one other person, and it should be in your locality. You shouldn't drive there. If you need to drive there, it's not local. So if you and your friend or you and your extended family member live near each other, you can meet to have a walk, even in these foggy days.
Yes, and even though we don't all live in the countryside, we don't all live in a beautiful place. I live in a small town, and there's not a lot to look at if I go for a walk. But if you go with a friend, first of all, you're chatting, and secondly, you're taking a bit of time perhaps to look at your area. Perhaps there are some things to find out about it. You know, perhaps you will see things that you haven't seen before. Just because it's pavement and not a beautiful hill, then it doesn't mean that you might not see something interesting or look at something and think, oh, I wonder what that is. Maybe sort of look into it later.
Yeah, and also the important part of getting out of your house is just the walk-in is really good for your mental health. Whether you enjoy the scenery or not, having a brisk 5-minute, 20-minute walk actually can change your mood. Yeah,
Yes.
so it's really, really important. I can't emphasize this enough. But when you do walk, when you see somebody, think to yourself, I'm out purposefully, therefore I can move out their way. Yeah, we don't need to be in each other's space. We can keep that space apart, because remember that the reason why COVID is spreading so quickly is because the number of people who are asymptomatic. Yeah, and the number of people who just have a little sniffle, to be a little bit of a cough, but don't equate it to COVID. Yeah, so that's how it's spreading so quickly, because if you're poorly from it, you're staying at home.
Yeah, and there are still people going out without their masks on, and so, yes, some people have medical reasons for that, but I'm afraid some people are just not wearing masks, and that increases the danger so much.
So if you see somebody without their mask, my advice to you is just to keep well back. Yeah, we don't have to do anything. We don't have to confront. We don't have to have a big scene. We just need to think, I'm going to be looking after myself and the other people I care about by taking a step back. And that seems like enough.
Yes.
Me.
I know you and I are lucky in a way, Bianca, because we have dogs, don't we? So
We do have dogs.
our dogs do not let us not go out for a walk. So
if I'm going to be honest with you, Marion, my dog probably would. He would look outside and go, oh, it's a little bit cold. But my sister's dog, definitely not.
Yes, and I think if you have that external reason, it's too easy just to say, oh, it is cold outside, I won't go today. But I don't know about you, Bianca, when I do go, even if it's a quick walk around the block with the dog, then sometimes I walk back into my house a different person. Feeling in an entirely different way. Quite often that happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's quite a nice sort of break to your day. Just think in normal conditions, we get to leave our houses whenever we want. We switch and change our environments a lot of times in the day, and we don't quite realise exactly how good that is for our mental well-being.
Yeah,
and now we're not doing it. We need to create that. We do need to leave the house.
So other things that are really good for your emotional well-being, which is if you're feeling overwhelmed, you need to think of 5. Yeah, your 5 senses. Yeah, so you have a look around wherever you are. What can I see? What can I hear? What can I feel? Even what can you taste? Because sometimes different rooms taste different. The air tastes different. So it's being in touch with all of your 5 senses. And remember, you can do the breathing exercise where you breathe in for 7 and out for 11. I think it's that way around. If it isn't and that doesn't work for you, swap.
Yes, if you're having trouble.
It's definitely 7-11, but I can't remember which way around.
Yeah, that's good. And also when you're breathing, just focusing on your breathing. Don't think about anything else. Just think about how it's feeling to be breathing.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do it for a long time. You can do it for 3 minutes and it will have a good effect on you.
The other thing that I think is really important to mention today is for those people who speak English as a second language, you may well be homeschooling. Yeah, and for those who speak English as a first language, homeschooling is really hard. Yeah, for the following reason, you're not a teacher.
Yes.
So we are teachers and we had to be trained to be teachers. There are a set of skills and techniques to teaching people English.
Yes, and we're to continue our training, don't we? It's not something that we learn and then we can do. We continually train.
Absolutely. And the same for teachers of children. So they are learning how to teach, they learn the techniques and the skills. So it's quite honest that people are going to be struggling to teach their children. Especially so if you do not speak English as a first language. So I want to give you some tips for you and your household to stay sane so that you don't strangle your children over these homeschooling days. Firstly, it doesn't matter if you can't do the work that your school sets. If it's too much of a problem, stop. Yeah. Nothing cannot be relearned.
No.
Okay? And the teachers know this.
Yes.
Yeah?
And
all they want you to do is try your best. That's it. So if that's hard work, here is my advice. On BBC One and BBC Two and CBeebies, the BBC is putting out lots of programmes for primary school children and secondary school children. If you can't do the work that your school has set, do that instead. Go out for an hour's walk and do your PE where you skip, hop and jump on the pavements. And have fun as you do I Spy. And you practice English words together. Do your times tables together. Yeah, learn those because this is something we can do together, even in our home, in our mother tongue. Yeah. The last thing that I suggest is reading. Get a book, whether that's online, on a Kindle, in the real book world version, and just sit down and read with your child. This is more valuable than getting yourself stressed about the things that you can't do that the school has set you. Yeah, we are all struggling. This is not about children falling behind. This is about children living in a pandemic of very unusual times. And if you have any problems with your schools, please be in touch and we can help you.
Yes, remember that children like school, or a lot of children like school for a lot of different reasons. They like it because they can see their friends. If they're doing a task, they're often, well, in things as they were before COVID, they're around a table with their friends, laughing, talking, bonding with each other. And that is a very different scenario to some poor parent and their child sitting in front of a screen trying to get things done. There are a lot of disadvantages to being a parent trying to homeschool. It is not your fault. It is not something you're doing wrong. This is just an entirely different scenario. What you can do with them is good enough.
Absolutely. What you can do is good enough. And my advice goes back to find their favourite school book, read that. Learn your timetables. If children can read, they can do stuff, they can learn. And they will learn and they will catch up. Education doesn't stop at 16. Education is something we can do forever. There is no time frame for this. It might feel like, oh my God, my child might not get their GCSEs, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter when. We need to reject that this is about failure. This is about us surviving a very unusual set of times. But again, if you're feeling pressured and you don't know what to do, please be in touch.
I saw a wonderful story the other day. Maybe it came from you, Bianca, because I often see a lot of really interesting things coming on our website. But about somebody who was talking about the fact that they came to this country as a refugee, and they had no education for something like 4 years because of the political situation in their own country. And they came to this country as a teenager, and then just rebuilt. And as you said, they took advantage of all the lifelong learning opportunities that we have in this country. And they now have a degree, a good job, which is a goal for some people. And they have not suffered from a huge gap in their education. They just had to stop learning in that same way for a while because of the way the world was for them. And then they started again when it became more available to them.
But I think also the important thing with that story, though, Marion, is that person was fleeing war.
Yeah.
We're not in a war. Yeah, we're not fleeing for our lives. We are not under that level of pressure. So if people can succeed in that level of adversity, then we can certainly succeed in our communities under this.
Yeah.
The other advice I give people is to knock on your neighbour's door, then stand back. Check they're okay. Yeah, neighbours who you don't like, doesn't matter. Knock on their door anyway. Check they're okay anyway. Let's do something bold and brave and show each other that we care regardless. That's how we defeat COVID. That's how we build a better world. That's how we learn English better, by talking to people in unusual circumstances.
Yes. Yeah, they're often the best conversations, aren't they? You don't end up talking about the weather so much. You talk about some really interesting things. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, these sessions that Mary and I are on a Saturday, you're more than welcome to come and join us. Or on a Wednesday, it's on Zoom. And we'll be putting those details on our social media platforms over the next couple of days. So you can join us on a Wednesday on Zoom for a more intimate conversation cafe, or you can join us bold and brash and live here on a Saturday on Twitch, on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, and if you're feeling a little bit shy and don't actually want to be in the live broadcast, just feel free to message us. We can see the messages as we go live, and we'll be happy to talk to you as you message us as well. So you can still be involved, even if perhaps a live scenario is something that you are slightly concerned about. But even if you are, also think about that, because again, this is the world we are in now.
Yeah.
So it might be worth just trying it and getting used to it.
Yeah, because this is going nowhere. I'm going to have to get used to that bit of hair and hope it grows quickly. I don't know why it's gone so short. So the other thing I was going to say is Marion is on Twitch this afternoon.
Yes, yes,
And
at
that, 1:30, and that will be shown on the other platforms on YouTube and Facebook. And that's more of a where you can learn some really cool stuff, but in a fun way. So normally I think Steve will be joining you for that.
Yes, yes, we often have Steve in as well, and we need people to help us, because yeah, there are times we've had great difficulty with our games. We need some help, but they are really good fun games.
So come and get involved today, and we will see you again next week. But if you have any questions, give us a shout on any of the social media platforms, or you can email us, learn@everydayenglish.org.uk. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.